So there's a fair chance that Donald Trump's delay tactics are going to backfire on him. Welcome to Law and Society. Please subscribe and let's talk about it. So we are at a point right now, and I'm talking about the two federal cases, where somehow it seems like the federal judiciary is delaying the trial process of two criminal trials. First, in Mar-a-Lago, Eileen Cannon has decided to deny Jack Smith's ask of a protective order, and then that is now contingent, that what happens now is contingent about whether Jack Smith is going to play ball with Eileen Cannon and confer with defendants and then resubmit the motion, or whether Jack Smith will take it to the 11th Circuit and have them directed to a new judge, or direct Eileen Cannon to rule on the protective order, to grant the protective order. I think the chances are good that Eileen Cannon may be removed if Jack Smith were to appeal. And with those chances, if Jack Smith were to appeal and get an answer back in his favor by the end of June, then, or maybe mid-July, then if the case were to go to a new judge, presumptively the judge will set about an 80 to 90 day pretrial period, and then go to up to September, when pretrial period will end. And that's when there could be, a trial in middle or the end of September. The same timeline, but for different reasons, would apply in the immunity case if the Supreme Court were to wait until the end of the term, which is June, end of June, to hold on Donald Trump's immunity appeal. So if the Supreme Court does play on with this delay game and delay the case on behalf of Donald Trump, the substantive case, then the latest the ruling would come out would be the end of the term by the end of June, and then July, September would be the pretrial period, and then the end of September, beginning of October, there would be an option on Judge Chutkan's plate on whether or not to start a trial a month before the election in which defendant is a candidate. So, were these contingencies to play out in the favor of saying that the judges were to go to trial by the third week of September, then what will happen is that these facts, the facts from this case, these two cases, will be regurgitated for the American public as part of a trial process. And whether that that's going to have an enormous impact, whether it won't have a legal impact, with the exception of Donald Trump saying that it was political and this is time to be political, which is calling it close, very close. And I believe that it would be close, but maybe the judiciary would say, no, we're going to go ahead and follow through with these cases that have been held back for over a year now, because of different various special master, immunity appeal, all these different tactics, delay to gag order, appeal, these different delay tactics to stall the cases. And then, you see that the federal judiciary is kind of going along with it and hope, dies that we will know before the election the truth coming out of the courts. And that's a political argument to say that we need to know the truth about one of the candidates before people go to vote for them. I've already talked about the legal reasons in a previous video. So the legal reasons for having a speedy trial is different from the haste that we're talking about in this case, where the speedy trial argument also applies, but the political argument is what I'm making at the moment, where Americans need to know the truth before going to the polls. The legal argument for the public's right to a speedy trial was actually part of Barker v. Vingo, and then picked up later on in 2006 or 7, and then reaffirmed that there is a collective right to a speedy trial, that the public, the taxpayer, and the interest of justice, the preservation of evidence, all of these reasons, there is an interest in a speedy trial, which has been delayed for at least a year in each of those cases because of the various ways in which Donald Trump has delayed. So were the judges to come to the conclusion that trial can go forward, it would play as a really bad, public relations for Donald Trump, because it would rehash the truth. It's not that we don't know much of the truth, because January 6th committee did us a great service by telling us the truth. The indictments and the procedures below during the special master process and during January 6th committee and in the Mar-a-Lago documents, the special master saga, we know a lot of the context of the cases. So it would be a rehashing. It would be a reconfirmation. It would be almost a corroborating what we had known and kept in the back of our minds. And if that were to happen, that would be disastrous for Donald Trump. Obviously, Donald Trump's loyalists will double down and say, no, this is political. But it wouldn't be political had Donald Trump delayed. Remember that. It wouldn't be political had Donald Trump not delayed. He keeps on delaying each of the processes by throwing a wrench in the cog somehow to just completely stall the proceedings like he has with these federal cases. And Eileen Cannon and the super conservative rogue majority of the Supreme Court seems to not understand the urgency of the people learning the truth, both for speedy trial reasons and for the political reason of knowing the truth before voting for a candidate. That candidate is indicted criminally, in federal jurisdiction and in more than one state jurisdiction. So, with that said, I hope that leaves a little bit of hope alive, and let's see how quickly or how late the Supreme Court rules. The later it is, the more it becomes obvious that somehow Clarence Thomas and Alito and maybe even the other conservative justices are just not playing ball in reaching a consensus and then coming down with the ruling, despite knowing obviously that this is an interlocutory appeal, that there's an underlying criminal case that they are delaying when they are holding back their ruling on this interlocutory mid-trial, before pre-trial or during pre-trial matter. So with that said, thank you so much for listening, and please like and subscribe if you like what you've heard, and I'll talk to you soon.